championship debut as well for a man who finished 4th in the 5,000 metres, champion from Morocco, Oussama Mimza.
He's the American record holder, which is also the
11th in the 1,500 metres final in the last World Championships for the USA, Joel Gomez. The famous victor in Rio of this. It was faster than the slower tactical Olympic 1,500 metres final. That's Abdelatif Baka of Algeria. Next up, Akraf Lahouel of Tunisia. Outside him for Kenya, 5th in the 5,000 metres final, John Lekedi.
representing Tunisia.
Next up for Tunisia, we'll also see him in the 400 later on, Roy Jebabli, should I say, apologies. And on the outside, the 5,000 metres world champion for this week, Yassine Dadi Alatabi of Spain.
It's the final of the men's 1,500 meters, T13.
So it's the T13 visual impairment category, the men's 1,500 metres. World record held by Baka from Rio 2016. He is the defending champion. Championship record from 4 years ago at the last World Championships. So it's Mikhail Al, Mimza, Joel Gomez, Abdelatif Baka, Lahouel, Lekedi, Jebabli, and Udali Elatabi. A very good victory in the 5,000 metres. In terms of the visual impairment categories, it's even tougher for the much longer racers. You've seen that. It's not very often that you'll see the entire field finish, as was the case in the T11 final just a few moments ago. Abdelatif Baka, I know a lot was made, and it might have annoyed some people involved solely in able-bodied athletics that a lot was made. The fact that the Paralympic 1,500 final was faster than the Olympic final, but just to make the point that we're watching two athletes here in this as well. Nice gap with 3 laps remaining. Lekedi's got a good advantage over Gomez of the United States. Jebabli, Udada, Al, and Baka waiting to pounce down in 6th place, the defending champion.
Lekedi is certainly the one who started taking it on, but if you are going to make a move, it has to be decisive. Otherwise, this is exactly what happens. The pack catches up to you and starts to eat you up, and now you're back in the same position, and yet you've used that little bit of energy. But equally, some athletes will use that as a bit of a tactic. You surge and stop, and surge and stop. And what that surging does is having to sprint, it just drains the strength out of your legs, and perhaps he's hoping that will work into his favor later on in the race. And I do remember those headlines in 2016, and you're right. I know some people just said, well, the Olympic race is quite tactical, but what I loved was that we already knew how awesome para-athletes was, and it was just great to see the rest of the world wake up to it.
Well, this is a nice bunch together, 1,500 metres, 2 laps to go. Lekedi leading Gomez, Jebabli's in 3rd spot, Udadi, Al, Baka beginning to make a move on the outside. Even Mimza, who's at the back in 8th spot, don't worry about him. There's a good movement being made by Gomez out towards the front for the United States. Baka made a good move as well, and Udadi Elatabi going for the 1,500, 5,000 double. That is the big move, because he's leading.
Well, you could see Udadi Elatabi. He wanted to get to the front. There was a lot of action going on in that pack there. You saw some arms hitting each other. You have to fight and be really aggressive for that position. And the difference between the 1,500-meter ambulant runners and the wheelchair racers, it's much easier to maneuver a body than it is to maneuver a 2-meter-long wheelchair.
Baka's quality. He's going for 3 in a row. Mimza has gone from last to first, and Lekedi has gone from first to last. That's athletics for you. Mimza biding his time, Udadi, Gomez, Al, they're all taking their turn to the front. Lots of jostling, particularly on the outside. Bit of movement finally coming from Mimza as they take the bell, and it's Jebabli who's moved up now. Back in 2nd place, Udadi, so in 2nd and 3rd, respectively, the world and Paralympic champions.
You can see what happened on that previous lap. This final lap, what matters is where you are and where you are when you make that move. And nobody wants to be stuck on the inside, boxed in. And right now, El Udadi, it looks like he was just trying to find some room on the inside, but that door seems to have been shut. He's got to get himself out and go wide now if he wants to win this.
This is some sprint. Jebabli out in front, Bakker in second place. Salah's moved up into second ahead of him right now. Bakker going for 3 in a row, but he's boxed in third. Udadi, the 5,000 champion, is back in fifth spot. It's Jebabli leading the way and leading a well for Tunisia. And he's opening the gap up. Jebabli, Al, Bakker,